फिर आपको करना पड़ेगा।
Are you?
Very good afternoon to one and all present here. Foremostly, the dignitaries who have taken time to adorn HPNLU Shimla campus, the participants who have registered themselves for this 2-week capacity building program, and the faculty members of the university, including the office bearers, and our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Madam Professor Mishra Jaswal. Without much ado, let us begin with the inaugural session, and foremostly with the lighting of the lamp and felicitation of the dignitaries. I request Ms. Sunana to please guide our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Madam, and also assist all the respected dignitaries in lighting of the lamp first, followed by the felicitation.
All the pillars together. That's good.
Thank you everyone so much. Now, carrying on the Indian tradition of Atithi Devo Bhavaha, because not every time words can express our emotions. So, to begin with, sir, I would humbly request, and then you can directly proceed to the dais, sir, to begin with the felicitation of Honorable Professor Ranveer Singh, Pro-Chancellor, IILM University. Ma'am, please.
सर्दी में अच्छी है ना? Thank you.
Next, I request Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam to please felicitate Professor V. Vijaya Kumar, sir. Sir. Professor V. Vijaya Kumar, sir. Former Vice Chancellor NLIU Bhopal and an eminent professor HPNLU Shimla. Thank you, sir. Next in honor, I would most humbly request Professor R. Venkata Rao, Vice Chancellor IIULER Goa, to please grace us and allow us to pay homage to him. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And finally, I request Professor P.S. Jaswal, sir, Vice Chancellor, SRM University, Sonipat, to please grace us and allow us to give him a token of gratitude. Thank you, sir. Thanks to all the respected dignitaries, and once again, I welcome all of you on behalf of HPNLU Shimla family. Now, with the lighting of the lamp, the session has already begun. Now, on that note, let us all recall the history of HPNLU and where we have achieved or where we have arrived in the short duration since HPNLU Shimla came into existence. To reminisce this and to also look at where we are to reach in the times to come, what the aspirations of the university is, I request all of those who are present here to please stand up for the Kul Geet.
योगः करं सुकौशलम् योगः करं सुकौशलम् हिमाचल प्रदेश राष्ट्र विधि तक जिसका दूरदर्शिता आसमान की परतें चिरे हवाएं झूम झूम नाम ले जिसका बर्फ कोमलता में दृढ़ता भरे देवित्य विधि के हर विधान की संविधान की त्यार करे शक्ति शासन के प्राण की और अपने भारत देश महान की तथ्य से अवगत भूत करा वितर्क की पूर्ण आहुति डलवाए कहता है हर युवा यहाँ लेखनी और वाणी वीर बने कानूनी मदद का दरिया बहा वाद विवाद प्रतिद्वंदी बने इनके आंचल से चुरा सफेदी चलाओ
a lot of efforts have gone into envisioning the idea behind this capacity building program. Some of you may have, specifically to the participants, attended training programs on research methodology, and a lot of you must be either pursuing your PhD or have already completed it. And there might be a fragment of thought that now what? We already know a lot of research methodology, and what new? Maybe things would be redundant in this session as well. But what you see as a CVP of 2 weeks here is a vision of over 15 years. And it's a part of its manifestation is what you will, or a ripple effect of its manifestation is what you will see in the coming 2 weeks. And it's a vision that has been of the director of the Center for Comparative Law, which has very well aligned under the leadership and guidance of Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam. So there has been no other better alignment of such long-term vision, which is reflected in the thematic of this capacity building program. And to throw a little light on the introduction of this capacity building program, I would request Professor Dr. Chanchal Kumar Singh to please address the audience participants here. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ayush. Respected Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Rajveer Singh, respected our President of this inaugural session, Professor R. Venkata Rao, our guest of honors, Professor Vijay Kumar sir, Professor P.H. Jaswal sir, and Honorable Vice Chancellor, our beloved leader of this university, and its sir. This program was conceived, I think, 1 year back, but its germination was there in 2020 on the direction and advice of my Vice Chancellor, Professor Mr. It all started about when we rethought how to teach research methods to master PG students. So I think HPNLU Shimla is the first university which has tried, and we have been experimenting how to teach and what things are to come under the subject called, a course called research method and methodology. So most of the law schools, in fact social science also, they teach research method where they are concentrate on either qualitative, quantitative or tools, techniques, that is how to collect data, sampling out the things. Now these are not the core our basic proposition that we are offering and we are trying to challenge. These are not the core subject or content of course on research methods. So, for example, a great writer, Foucault, wrote The Birth of Biopolitics. There is passage in the introduction section that suppose from the memory or mind of historians or sociologists, the fixed categories are deleted if it is possible. So, what is family? The idea of family is deleted. Idea of human being is deleted. So, what kind of history will such historian or sociologist would write? So that is it. So idea is every research goes on basic presuppositions, presumptions. Those presumptions and suppositions are to be challenged. It is this fact that has, if I take, because we study jurisprudence of law, so look at the Indian Constitution. Originally, it was written for two kind of human beings, male and female. After 2007 and 2018, we can simply and safely conclude that this Constitution is a new Constitution because the old one was only for two kind of human beings. The new one new one is after the judgments. It's for many kind of human being who do not fit directly into male or female categorization. So that's a challenge. So we have to look the idea that what is a human being. So it's not about only the association one human being works with other human being, male or female or otherwise. So human being can be seen in many perspectives. So there are researches which say that the human being and the philosophers are nothing but they are a bundle of memories and experiences. Every human being is a separate bundle of experiences and memories. Most of them have these things have been poured into him or her from outside. It is not his memory or it is not her experiences. So alternatively, you can see the human being is a bundle of organisms. So there are many organisms that resides inside a human being. So it's very difficult. And what is the correct way to look at it? The idea for us is we have to trace and learn the basics of the methods which philosophers developed in the West, which primarily we study, the method of gaining or creating knowledge that are core subject of our this capacity building program, but that has to be supplemented or compared with what kind of methods our own theories of knowledge such as Nyaya or other theories had in ancient it's called Indian system or tradition of knowledge IDA that developed. So we have tried to blend it and we have tried to get resource persons. The first glimpse is before you, and we are very fortunate that we have got this galaxy, small galaxy of intellectuals who will start take our mind. We have to think afresh. Now I'll say 2 sentences for all my participants here. Kindly be punctual, be on time, don't skip any session. There is attendance for each and every session. At the end of towards the end of the program, there will be a written examination you have to clear before you get the certificate from the university. Again, second thing, wherever you have been put in the hostels, you have to maintain the decorum, timings and other things. Whatever you have to go out, can be informed the responsible person or organizing team. We have prepared 2 reading materials. One is compulsory reading for all of you. That has been already shared. The second reading material is basically a reference material that is optional. As and when you like, you can read it. There is third possibility that each and every resource persons would be supplying their own reference or reading material. As and when we receive it, we will supply it to you. So thank you very much, Ayush.
Thank you so much. Now, Professor Chanchal has set the tone right in saying that under the leadership of Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam, we have been trying to be a little innovative. So, syncing with that thought and with that line, I as a host today will do something different. I'll not be reading out the biographies of the scholarly ensemble that is here because if I do that I'll falter, I know, so I wouldn't attend to that. But fortunately, during the very small period that I have spent here in HPNLU Shimla, I have had an opportunity of interaction with all the legally scholars who are seated on the dais. And as researchers, we are often said that you have to abide by certain principles, or alternatively, researchers have to have certain skills or attributes. So, the biographies are already available, information is already there. Google knows better than me. I wouldn't be able to do any more justice than Google would be able to do. But what Google would not be able to do is give a human touch to the tip of the iceberg of information that it has. because जो berg है, iceberg का जो berg है, that is not visible. But fortunately enough, I have had the glimpse of that berg in the moments that I have had at HPNLU Shimla. And to begin with, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Madam, Professor Nisha Jaswal, so there is a very small principle which is said that it should be used by a researcher, and more specifically, everything is empirical these days and data collection, and a researcher should abide by the principle of sympathy is what is said, have the attribute of sympathy. Teaching sympathy in a research methodology class is one thing. Experiencing it while you are actually doing research is something what I felt throughout under the guidance of Professor Nisha Jaswal. And that is the most precise, brief introduction that she can be considered as a person who manifests the idea of sympathy. And on that note, ma'am, I apologize again if I'm not reading the biographies, not going by the traditional technique. So I apologize to the entire ensemble here at the outset. And on that note, ma'am, I request you to please deliver the welcome address to the audience.
Thank you, Ayush, and I'm also feeling very proud to have you, my research scholar. Acharyas of the preceding decades, Professor Ranveer Singh, Professor Venkata Rao, Professor V. Vijay Kumar, Professor Jaswal. My request before I welcome, within few years, you may become part of history. But my prayer to God, you should not go into oblivion. As most of the audience present here knows it very well that I speak from heart. Welcoming Professor Ranveer Singh, my verse, आओ मिलाऊं तुम्हें आधुनिक युग के भीष्म पितामह से, आओ मिलाऊं तुम्हें आधुनिक युग के भीष्म पितामह से, मन छुएंगे, मस्तिष्क खोलेंगे, दोस्ती कराएंगे कृष्ण की सुदामा से. Now this is one of the benefit of capacity building program. Professor Venkata Rao, again, as I said, you can open internet and find the details, but the details I'm going to give you, in case Swarnim Smith, you have seen, Spashtwani, you're going to hear, सबके मन को छू जाएगी. इनकी स्वर्णिम स्मित स्पष्टवाणी सबके मन को छू जाएगी. किसी भी अहंकार की बीमारी खुद ही छन के निकल जाएगी. I welcome you, sir, from the deepest core of my heart. Professor Vijay Kumar, हृदय कोमल चक्षु ज्ञान के, हृदय कोमल चक्षु ज्ञान के और मधुर वाणी है. अपने निर्णयों में, this is very important, whosoever has worked with him can tell it in a better way, अपने निर्णयों में अडिग रहने में इनका नहीं कोई सानी है. Am I right, sir? This is the truth, and I think other three can vouch it, that how he is determined to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. Professor Jaswal, सिंह सा व्यक्तित्व है, सिंह सा व्यक्तित्व है, राह दिखाने आए हैं, अपनी पारखी नजर से तुम्हें पहचानने आए हैं. That depends upon you. And my dear participants, because you are the soul of this program, ज्ञान पिपासा संतुष्टि शोध की गागर से, करो ज्ञान पिपासा संतुष्टि शोध की गागर से, अभिनंदन है आपका निकलने को जिज्ञासा के सागर से। I welcome you again to be part of this capacity building program. Capacity building program on this research methodology. I'm trying my best not to touch the issue of research methodology because there are so many speakers, and for 2 weeks you are going to hear on research methodology only, and I will also be taking 2 sessions with you. So I just want to talk about, because the objective is to build your capacity. But a note of caution, don't mistake me. I don't mean you are not capable. All of you are capable. But everyone needs reconditioning, sharpening, polishing, cementing from time to time. And with that, our knowledge landscape is repaired. So I'll just speak a mantra partially from Rig Veda so that I must first rejuvenate to address you. Ano Bhadra Pratva Yantu Vishwatah, which means auspicious thoughts come to us from all over the world, from everywhere throughout the universe. And then, because we are teachers, and whatever we are going to learn to further give to our students. And if you are sitting in the capacity building program as participants, then you can be classified in a section of learners only. So from Upanishad, I'll just recite a mantra, beautiful mantra. Sehna bhavatu, sehna bhunaktu, se viryam karvavahi, tejasvi na avdhitamastu ma vidvishavahi, om shanti, shanti, shanti. Beautiful meaning. Now this is for whether we are teachers or students. May we together be protected, may we together be nourished, may we work together with great vigor, may our study be enlightening, and may there be no hatred amongst us. Thank God, in the capacity building program there is no competition. All of you are learners. Your focus. Now I'll just talk about your focus. Focus will be on this research methodology, because without research, nothing can progress, nothing can take birth. And I would just like to quote Swami Vivekananda when he said few lines, not in the context of research. He talked in the context of this universe. How we take this universe from wherever we locate it, our angles may be different, but ultimately what is the absolute truth? This universe, now if I add this universe of research as an absolute entity is unchangeable wherever you go and unchanged, and the same throughout, but you and I and everybody else hear and see each one his own universe. Now you have your own target, own assignment, own topic. Like, take the sun. This is what Swami Vivekananda says. Take the sun. The sun is one. Research is something one. Research methodology is same. But when you and I and 100 other people stand at different places and look at it, each one of us sees a different sun. We cannot help it. A very little change of place will change a man's whole vision of the sun. A slight change in the atmosphere will make again a different vision. So, in relative perception, truth always appears various, But ultimately, there is only one truth. And that truth you have to keep in mind, especially the day you leave this HPNLU after completion of your capacity building program. Number of issues. In fact, if we just turn back the pages of history, when Darwin did research, he discovered, he talked about. Now, what he talked about, that is very, very important. Every day, in fact, you should recite it as a mantra every day when you start with any kind of research project. But he said, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. I think all of us can just recollect at least the journey when we did our PhDs. The same was the journey. Now, with the passage of time, we need to follow this arduous path of research. Because what is the reason? You must be thinking, long back, Plato said something, Aristotle said something, so many jurists were there, so many scholars were there, philosophers were there, they talked about something. And why do we need to? Now here I can quote Albert Einstein. He beautifully said, in theory and practice are the same. In practice, they are not. And you will understand its meaning when you have all the sessions of this capacity building program. Because, see, unless and until we have some model, we have some theory, we cannot proceed further. But we cannot rely forever on the same theory. Now, we can literally talk about some examples on it. Like, if we read Chanakya, if we talk about Vishnugupta, he always talked about patriotism, altruism, good governance. Now, if we look into the dictionary, the meaning of altruism, that is self-sacrifice for others. And again, if you read Arthashastra, you find that you should not be like a straight tree. Why? Because then it becomes very, very easy to cut you. So on the one hand, we talk about self-sacrifice. On the other hand, what we talk about, no, we should not submit to it. So that means you must have to understand the balance between the two and the value of research. Again, I can quote Charak when he said, Vidya vitarko vijnanam smriti tatparta kriya yasya ete shad gunas tasya na asadhyam ativartate. Which means, now this is a mool mantra. Nothing is impossible for those who have these 6 virtues: knowledge, logic, science, memory, readiness, and ability to function. Note it down. All these are required if you want to do research. And when I'll be having a sessions with you, I'll present the same in my poetry, and you will understand how much, I think some tears must be in some participants' eyes who are just pursuing PhD. Another very important thing is, you must be thinking I am talking about values. Now, elders are always used to deliver sermons, and this is very true. In fact, if we start our research work with the ego, I know everything, I have read so much material, I have collected so much material, I cannot proceed further. Again, I can quote a Sanskrit shloka. See, we don't have to go to any other culture. Learning culture, teaching culture, knowledge culture, because we had everything and we forgot. Yukti yuktam pragnayat baladapi vichakshana sure vishyam vastu kimna deepa prakashet. Which means the wise should learn to accept wisdom from anybody, even from a child. Because where the sun cannot reach, a small earthen lamp can give light. And things, what happens sometimes, you're working, you find all hurdles, opposition from everywhere, no cooperation, no motivation, no praise. Then what happens? You feel really very, very upset. Now, my advice to all of you is not to feel upset. And I can quote a passage from one of Buddhist books. Sometimes you will come face to face with a sudden and shocking realization that you are completely crazy. Your mind is shrieking, differing madhouse on wheels, barreling pell-mell down the hill, utterly out of control and hopeless, having no hope. Then also, you should think that hard work is the only key to success. Udyame hi siddhyanti karyani na manortha. It's not that you have enrolled or you have started some project is by some institution and you are the luckiest on the earth and you will be able to complete it. It is not so. You may dream to an extent, but dreams come true only with your hard work. So again, advice in the words of Swami Vivekananda, Uttared Atmana Atmanam. Very, very important. Save yourself by yourself. You have to save yourself on your own. And in fact, I'll just add, you have to save yourself from yourself also. Because this is your ego which will become just hindrance in the completion of your research project. So finally, I'll conclude with my poem. धरती से धैर्य संयम अंबर से ले ले, धरती से धैर्य संयम अंबर से ले ले, सिकुड़ कोख में समायोजन सीख ले. Now how you take birth? वायु से वेग, वर्षा से शीतलता ले, स्वभाव पे नियंत्रण सीख ले. मेघों से त्याग, वृक्षों से विनम्रता ले, सागर की गहराई से गंभीरता सीख ले. सूर्य से प्रकाश, फूलों से सुगंध ले, सत्यम शिवम सुंदरम सीख ले. गंगा से पावनता, पर्वत से ऊंचाई ले, उठ जाग और बढ़ के मंजिल छू ले. मनोभाव से गौरव, आत्मा से शांति ले, माता पिता गुरु से जीवन समर्पण सीख ले. माता पिता गुरु से जीवन समर्पण सीख ले. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः.
Thank you, ma'am. Save yourself, by yourself, from yourself. It's very interesting because when I said earlier that I would be choosing a different route as a host, ma'am has now set the absolute foundation for me. Because, see, summarized in a nutshell, all the characteristics which are major for any researcher for that matter, be at any stage of life. We'll come back to that and we'll continue with the discussions and addresses by the gathering here. But before that, Professor Ranbir and Professor Vijay Kumar sir has requested that all the participants, and I repeat, all the participants of the CDP introduce yourselves. So in the introduction, you will simply put out your name, your designation, and the state or place from where you belong to. Okay? Is that fine, sir? That's okay. So name, be very crisp. Name, your designation, and your place of work. So the mic is there. Shamshed ji, आपकी मदद करेंगे.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Avni and I am teaching at the Global University in Sonipat, Kerala.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I am Harsha Sana. I also teach at Opijindal Global University, Haryana. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Renuka. I am research scholar at HPNLU, Shimla.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Akanksha. I'm a research scholar at HPNLU and I'm from Delhi.
Good afternoon. I am Siddhant Gupta and I am a research scholar here at HPNLU. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Angel Yadav, a research scholar at HPNLU.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ishneet Kaur Taluja. I'm a research scholar at HPNLU and I belong from Delhi. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all esteemed speakers. I am Dr. Dirsha Sheikh. I am Professor and Dean, School of Law, Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology, deemed to be University. I am coming all the way from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Kanchal Gupta from UPES, Dehradun. My designation is Associate Professor.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. C. Tilagandan and Principal in Nehru Academy of Law, Likkidi, Palakkad, Kerala.
Namaskar sir, I'm Dr. Bharat Barwalia and I'm an assistant professor at HPNLU.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tejinder Kumar Singh. I'm Research Associate at Madhya Pradesh National Law University, Shimla.
Good afternoon, respected sirs and ma'am. My name is Nicholas Barnwal and I am an assistant professor at Mahindra University, Hyderabad.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Dr. Ajaymeet Singh. I am advocate, Punjab and Haryana High Court and visiting professor, Chandigarh University.
Good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Mansingh Sure, assistant professor, VP Law College, Baramati, Maharashtra.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Soumya Sharma. I'm Assistant Professor at Indian Institute of Legal Studies, Kannada. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aradhana Thakur and I am Assistant Professor at IIS Kannada. Good afternoon, respected sir and ma'am. Myself, Sushila, and I am a research scholar at Himachal Pradesh University from Shimla.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Shana Lakshmi. I am a former faculty member of the University of Delhi and currently I am preparing for postdoc fellowships. Thank you.
Very good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Sukanya Das. I am from Amity University, Noida, and my place is Delhi. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Vini Sharma from Amity University, Noida.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Anupati Sharma. I am a research officer at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, and I am from Delhi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shraddha Chaudhary. I am assistant professor at Dayal College of Law, Latur, Maharashtra.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Sapin Rajput, research scholar from HPNLU Shimla, and I am from School of Law.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Neeraj Chauhan. I am a research scholar at HPNLU Shimla. I am from Shimla itself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mahek Singh and I am doing research from HPNLU Shimla and I am from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shilpa Das, PhD scholar from Delhi University. I am from Delhi.
Good afternoon, sirs and ma'am. I am Premada Singh and I am independent researcher and consultant with University of Warwick and I have come from Delhi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Prachalika Sahu. I am currently assistant professor in Centurion University of Technology and Management, and I am also pursuing my PhD from National Law University, Odisha. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruchika Naik and I'm from Goa University. I work there as an assistant professor and I'm also a PhD scholar of the Crash University. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else left?
Yeah.
Anybody there?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Beneet Singh. I am teaching and research associate at HPNLU Shimla.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Akshana Dhiman and I am assistant professor at HPNLU Shimla. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Kalyani Acharya, Research Associate Law, Himachal Pradesh National Law University, Shimla.
So, thank you all the participants for that brief introduction. Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam was talking about how objectivity is important in research. Now getting back to the idea of how one of the esteemed guests who is here with us, and in a very, very short and brief interaction with him, he taught me this very important lesson. And it can be also reread as, you know, an attribute of accountability that a researcher must always have. It is not about how much you have read and what you have written and what has been published that will be a seal or a mark of the amount of knowledge that you have. You will have to be accountable with respect to what you are presenting. And at the same time, that very idea which you have presented can be rewritten. So you have to have objectivity and knowledge insight from that perspective. This thing was taught to me by none other than Professor V. Vijaya Kumar sir in a very, very brief interaction during a session that we had. And that was a very important point because we were discussing on the idea of constitutional morality, on which I thought that I've written a very good paper. And he changed absolutely my perspective. And then I realized what is the importance as a researcher, that you have to be accountable, and at the same time some level of flexibility has to be there to adapt the idea that man presented with respect to Darwin, adapt to the changing knowledge scheme. Sir, on that note, I most humbly request you to please address the participants and the gathering.
Professor Tanveen Singh, the chief guest of this function today, Professor R. Venkat Rao, who presides over the entire function this afternoon, Jaswal Q. So I think that is the best way to mention Professor P.S. Jaswal, Mr. Jaswal and SS Jaswal, Siddiqia. Professor Sanchal Kesi, who is coordinating this event. My learned colleagues, fellow researchers present here. A very good afternoon to everyone present here for this 2-week capacity building program on exploring the dimensions of research methods in social sciences and jurisprudence, organized by the Center for Comparative Public Law, HPNLU, and Indian Council for Social Science Research, New Delhi. When I wanted to know the names and the places that you come from, a little bit of background, I was reminded of my position there in 1980 when I was attending a 1-month-long research methodology program in social sciences. Law was not there, it was in social sciences for 1 month. And I think that is the foundation for us to grow the way that we have grown over a period of time. And still, we recollect some of the lessons that we learned from those doyens who taught us research methodology. So I should appreciate and place on record my appreciation to all those professors who taught us the right way of doing things. Because there was no shortcut to success. The internet was not in place. the research based on internet was not in place, and tomorrow I'm going to address you on internet-based research. So therefore, we were loyal to what we were doing, and there was no question of ethical or moral issues involved in that. But over a period of time, when the UGC started prescribing that PhD is a must or NET is must to become an assistant professor, they try to take the NET exam, and if they don't clear that, the best way is to get a PhD. So if somebody asks me which is the most easiest degree that you can obtain, I would rather say it is PhD. Right? I'll tell you how it can be done very easily. And the second easiest thing is LLM, 1 year. Before you sleep and get up, your semester is over. And the only thing that knacks you is the dissertation. Possibly if you write to UGC, the dissertation should be dispensed with, they'll be too happy to agree to it. So that these are all the things which we need to appreciate as we go. And that resulted, that's why I'm trying to identify, that resulted a couple of years ago, UGC introducing a mandatory course in the coursework for the PhD candidates. What is that? It is about ethics in research and publication. It is 2 credit course which is compulsory. Why all of a sudden UGC was talking about and has introduced this particular unit in the coursework? Very interesting stories I can tell you. The research can be done without doing any research. Only thing is, you must know where the, what do you call it, a student's Xerox. In southern India, it's called a student Xerox. You just go and tell this is the topic on which I do. And sometimes your research guide, if you just go, he doesn't find the time or she doesn't find the time to discuss with you, you pick up a PhD thesis, right? And it can go to such an extent, what Professor Jaswal mentioned to me some time ago. He was evaluating a PhD thesis. It's a very interesting episode you should hear with some interest. He went through the introduction, very interesting, very neatly written, very well written. He went through the second chapter. He realized he was reading his own thesis. Am I right, Jaswal?
Yes, sir.
So he was a little annoyed and sent it back for resubmission. So this is, I'm not saying that they are copying, right? But this is also a shortcut to success. And the pressure may be due to the time constraint. Everyone who joins PhD, sir, 3 years. 3rd year I will submit my thesis. Right? And the 3rd year never comes. We keep on asking extension. After extension, we pay some penalty. And finally, we get the love letter from the university. This is the one, and after this, we will not extend. Then you are compelled to get into some immoral, illegal, other processes to get your degree. Because the objective there is to get the degree first. We learn later, and the later never comes. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I would appreciate if you show sincerity in your work. Whatever you do, good, bad, or ugly, the outcome may be bad, but still it is your own work. I would appreciate, because that is far, far better than the thesis which Jaswal evaluated and sent back. Right? You compare notes, then I think yours is better. Right? And therefore, this is one instance. Second instance, I was interviewing the candidates for associate professorship of the Lucknow University. A candidate who has submitted his thesis on constitutional treaty making under the Indian Constitution. That was the title. And got it published in the form of a book. See, when you interview a person, you just start with the foundation, ask few questions so that they are comfortable before you go to the analytical level. Because he was coming for associate professorship, not assistant professorship. So you should have picked up some analytical skill. So I asked the basic of the basic questions in international law. What is the difference between signature and ratification? Very quickly answer came, dono ek hi hai, sir. I was little shocked, reiterated, asked the question. And then the dean told me, sir, you have to speak to him in Hindi. He has written a book, treaty making under the Indian Constitution. And then we tried and we failed in all our attempts. And ultimately he was not certified. Although the dean wanted, but I put my foot down and said, no, this candidate can never be selected. Right? Somewhere something has gone wrong. Either he has not done his research properly, or literally he has copied from somewhere, got his degree, right? And now he's coming for a promotion. So therefore, this is not the person to be promoted. Please keep these two things in mind. Now, I would like to make a mention about what is the success and why you have to do research. You may be a teacher in a particular institution for 20 years, 30 years. Wonderful. You are not known outside the university. When I say you are not known outside the university, unless otherwise you go for a program, go for some interaction, go for some seminars, go for some conferences, you are not known. Your face to the outside world is nothing but your research publications. Right? And if the research publications are good, and people would be eager to look at wherever you are, inquire into, find out where you are, and they will come and speak to you on their own. I am reminded of an anecdote. When Professor Upendra Bakshi came to law school, Bangalore, for the first time, he didn't visit the law school for some time. But when he visited the law school, the first thing he wanted to know was, where is Professor Devidas? I want to see him. Because he had published an article in the Journal of Indian Law Institute, right? Directive principles, sentiments or sense. Sentiments or sense. Published in Journal of Indian Law Institute in 1975. Now look at Professor Upendra Bakshi, whom I think Professor Ranbir Singh would say possibly the only jurist living, right, in India. And then that jurist, comes in search of another person who did not get his PhD even now. He is 93 years old. He has not got his PhD. I think he himself is worth 100 PhDs. Right? PhD is what the university gives. But his talents are far, far superior to the PhD thesis. Right? So, the face of Professor Devidas, whom we had not met, and he comes all the way down to Bangalore, and his first question was, I would like to meet Professor Devidas. And he spent more than 2 hours with him, interacting with him, questioning him, challenging him, right? And I think Professor Devidas felt, totally satisfied, because here is a person who has appreciated his work, was also critical of some areas, wonderful. That is how we learn. We keep learning, right? And therefore, please keep this in mind, that it is not the UGC regulation that says ethics you have to follow. But if at all you have to maintain your dignity, honesty and sincerity, do some quality research. It is not the quantity that is important. How many articles you have published, you may write so many things. But if there is a quality article that is being referred to by somebody else, and that is the hallmark of your research, right? So in those days, when we looked at research, just one and
no, you take your time, sir. Absolutely, you have all the time.
Right? So in those days, we used to have these postcard size cards available in the store.
Reference cards.
Reference cards. So the moment you come across a book or an article, we used to write. What do you write? The author's name, the title of the book, the publisher, the edition, right? place of publication, year of publication, and if you want to remember even the page numbers which you referred to, or the entire book that you want to keep it, that's fine. And then, when we write the bibliography, we have to arrange those cards in alphabetical order, right? Today you are all lucky, as possibly you are all children of the millennium. You are called as millennial kids if you are born after 2000. You have a software which you just put it, key in, it arranges everything. And there is another software available. If you have done something, if you want in Blue Book, 20th edition, right? Press the button, it will arrange everything on its own and give it to you. Or convert that from a Blue Book to some other, MLA style sheet or Oscala or whatever it is, it will do it on its own. So your work is minimized, right? So therefore technology, also helps us, but technology cannot help you to remember what you have learned, right? It is for you to remember those things. Okay, so what will happen in future is very interesting. Already ChatGPT has made a revolution, right? And the revolution also resulted in some responses. Australia became the first country to ban ChatGPT totally. All the universities said no. Italy became the second state to do it. And today's newspaper, if you have seen the Times, Sunday Times, in the left-hand side corner, European Union is also planning to have certain regulations, rules in place to regulate ChatGPT. Because a survey was conducted during COVID-19 pandemic, and at the end of the pandemic, Westerners, right? Of course, if the same research was done in India, they wouldn't have got this much of results. So it was done in Western countries. 48% of the faculty members and close to 51% of the students have accepted that they have cheated the examination system in some form or the other in the past 2 years. Possibly if that research was done in India, I don't think they would have got any statistics. Possibly the research would fail. Right? So therefore, please understand all these dynamics. Another interesting, because when we try to share our experiences with you, that is a lesson. It is not, book is saying, what is this, what is that anyone can read. But we have to share our experiences. One such experience which I faced when I was the Vice Chancellor at the Ambedkar Law University, Chennai, we organized a 3-day international conference on bonded labor. And we asked for papers, and we received a very overwhelming number of papers, 140 papers, right? And at the first level, the coordinator reviewed and brought some of the papers, said very interesting papers. And I also went through one paper. The language was superb, the content was excellent. And as I was just perusing, I was not reading fully, but I was just going through the sub-theme, and because I cannot go through 140 articles, so I was just going through the sub-notes. And finally, when I came to the last page, I was shell-shocked. I removed a paper from that list. I asked that research scholar to come and meet me. He came to me. I said, the paper is very good. He said, thank you very much, sir. Then I asked him the second question. Are you married? He said, no, sir. As he was shocked, as if, I'm going to give my daughter to him. So, no, sir. And I said, who is Betty? I don't know, sir. Is this your article? He said, yes. Please turn to the last page. The author has thanked his wife Betty and 2 sons. I don't remember the name. What he has done is, PDF in those days, was not correctable. Now it is also possible. He had kept all those things as they are, removed only the name of the author, put his name, and presented to us. And the moment I told him, and immediately that thank you, sir, is gone. Sastang Namaskar. My apologies, sir. I said, this is a good lesson. It's not my intention to penalize him. And I told him, please don't follow these methods. Right? So that's why these types of stories will come as you move forward. And therefore, in LLM and PhD, what is the difference between research methodology? And if you are a 5-year student, I think, and also from some of the law schools, legal method is being taught. From NLA Bhopal, we call it as the common law method. We taught common law method, legal methods in the first year. Then you go to LLM in the name of research methodology. It's not important for you. Only when you want to do PhD, they will tell you. So somehow we manage it. Right? I also did that research methodology. 1 week, 3 days, 6 hours totally. Research methodology is gone for a task. Right? We also passed research methodology. And when we came to PhD, we did not know ABC of research methodology. So in the LLM, they say you will do it in PhD. And when you go and do your PhD, the teacher will say, you have passed your LLM, isn't it? There must be no research methodology. Everything is taken care of. Right? Minus and minus, I think it is plus for everyone. Right? So, therefore, this is one issue that you need to look at. Today, if in the next 2 weeks you learn something as research methodology, I heard some of you have already done your PhD, right? Dr. Madhav Menon used to say that he did his PhD in criminal law long ago, and after joining the law school, he used to tell us, I look at my thesis, I curse who had given the PhD for me on this work, which means so many years passed by, when you look back and you feel that you have not done satisfying work. Right? Not that he has not done the satisfying work, his knowledge has improved. And he now finds that lacuna is present. On the contrary, if after 10 years your research finding comes well with the contemporary developments in law and society, you feel it is satisfying because you have predicted that 10 years ago. Right? And somebody would follow you, and I think today it is much more easier for them to follow it based on the title. Right? Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I will speak much of this later tomorrow about Google and Yahoo, right? And ChatGPT tomorrow morning. I would like to give you 5 important principles, right? If you can keep these 5 principles in mind, whether you are doing a research methodology after PhD, or you are doing research methodology for your PhD, or you want to do some research and publish something after this, whatever it is, please keep this in mind. The first one, research is not for a degree or for career advancement scheme of the UGC. Please keep that in mind. Research is not for a degree nor for cash, the career advancement scheme. I would like to pass here, and I'll say in the same one, it should be for the quest for knowledge. Whatever area that you choose, it must be for the quest for the knowledge. So that you continue to specialize, continue to investigate. Law and technology doesn't stop anywhere. Change is constant. Right? Therefore, you have to understand this, that the quest for knowledge is the foundation of research. Right? When I speak about CAS, why I included CAS, when I was in NLU as a Vice Chancellor, CAS promotion came. One teacher applied for CAS. 2 years I worked, I wrote, every week faculty meeting I used to address them, published at least 2 articles. This is the right time for you to publish because your teaching load has literally come down to 6 hours a week, right? And online teaching. right? And many of your students are online checking and checking out. They are online, but they are not present and they are not listening to you. Please do it. They have not done anything, right? And then when she qualified for becoming a professor, 6 articles published in less than 6 months, right? All of them were Scopus indexed. So she had submitted the application form. It was scrutinized by a team and it was presented before me to invite an expert. So I went through this application form and I found I had to do a little bit of research. I took all these 6 articles, went to the internet, the Google search, very quickly I got those journals and found out every article, they have to publish, you have to pay some money, right? No doubt they have the Scopus score, right? Then I called her and told her very quietly and very politely, because nowadays we should be very cautious, right? Particularly speaking to a lady, right? I called her and spoke to her. Do you think that you have done good research? Her face became dark. She was not able to explain anything. I have been telling you every week to get something published. In the past 3 years, you did not do. In 6 months' time, we are able to publish these articles, right? How did you do it? She didn't say anything. I'll tell you. This is the amount. I calculated everything. This is the amount you have paid for publication. Are you cheating yourself? Are you trying to cheat me? Are you trying to cheat the system? Very educated person. She holds a foreign degree, right? And when I asked this question, she started, becoming apologetic. I said, I'm not going to stop your cash promotion. You have the talent, you better do it, right? So therefore, I permitted her, though she has done something not very ethical, right? But still I permitted, because as a Vice Chancellor, I don't want to come in the way of anybody else in the progress. So therefore, please keep this in mind. It is not for a degree, not for cash, but it is quest for knowledge. If that is the basic principle, I think you will survive better. The second thing, research is, particularly in legal research, it is for critical thinking and critical analysis. And it has multidisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary approach which you have to develop. It is not purely law. And I have seen many theses which come for evaluation. Every paragraph ends with a footnote, right? And this is what the Supreme Court has said, 15 paragraphs or 20 pages is gone. Supreme Court does the same thing and you are also doing the same thing, right? So that research is for critical thinking or analysis, right, is what you should keep in mind. Third one, research is for seeking personal improvement in the world of knowledge and wisdom. Personal improvement, right? When I say personal improvement, you have published an article 5 years ago. You had an opinion. Now, after 5 years, you realize that your conclusion was wrong. There is nothing wrong in writing that what you have done earlier was wrong, right? Because in the continuum, you have acquired some additional knowledge and you feel what you have said earlier is wrong. Nothing wrong in it. And it very clearly proves that you have grown. You have acquired more knowledge, more. That's why I said wisdom. Finally, wisdom. That is the third one. Fourth one, research is satisfying when someone cites you. Somebody citing your work, right? I think today, if you Google search, how many people have followed your article? How many people have referred your article in their article, right? So therefore, when you see that 10 people have accessed my article, read and cited that article in their article, it is quite satisfying, right? Because you have done your good work, you feel Mugombo Kushua, right? That attitude, that is also equally important. And finally, research is not finding solutions alone. Research is also for raising additional questions for which you don't have the time to find the answers, right? So in your conclusion, apart from giving suggestions, if you are able to do something and raise few questions, and a reader will go through, and that is a start off point for that researcher. And if you do that, you are also leaving behind some reference, and that will go a long way. I will not take much time because I know the time is up already. And I would like to just conclude by saying that every session that you hear from research methodology session will be different from each other, and you have to take what is best in in them, what is more appealing to you, right? What is correct in your opinion, and then take it and follow it, and then you will find it a wonderful venture of doing research and publication in the years to come. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Two very important points where sir began. Ethical issues in research, and then the principles that he mentioned. Now, building on that point which sir has so eloquently put, ethical issues in research, and coming to the next address. So, another important attribute which researchers must have is, or considered that this is another important principle that they should follow, is the principle of ethical responsibility, which was very well mentioned. How I learned that. So, on the 4th of July 2023, I had my pre-submission presentation, and there were butterflies in my stomach like any other PhD scholar. So I entered the hall where it is supposed to be, and then the examiners also enter. So one of the examiners is Professor B.S. Jaswal. Now, the moment I see him, I'm like, I'm a bit comforted. But then, during the session, he bashes me left, right, and center. Okay. So he does that during the session, and the moment he comes out, he tells me, Ayush, don't worry, we have to do that. So, just one moment, sir. There is a book which has been written by a famous grammarian, logician of the Hindu tradition, by Bimal Krishna Martilal. He has written a book called Moral Dilemmas in Mahabharata. Now, ethics is often suffixed by the word ethical dilemma. And that gesture of inside the hall and right outside the hall was an explanation on how to deal with the ethical dilemmas. You don't have to allow your personal relations in professional engagements to come into picture. That was the best lesson that I could have had as a researcher. Thank you, sir. And on that note, I request you to address me.
Honorable Bhisham Patama of Legal Education, Professor Ranveer Singh Ji. Is it on? Yes. Okay. Honorable former Vice Chancellor, Professor Vijay Kumar. Honorable Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Nishtha Jaswal. R. Venkat Rao, who is right now delivering another lecture online in another program, and he would be right now after us here to speak to you without knowing what we have spoken. That is his dilemma. But my dilemma is different. My dilemma is I have been asked to address you in the presence of my wife, and you know the half the confidence or more of the confidence is shaken when you are asked to speak in presence of a wife. And there is an icing on the cake. I have been asked to speak in presence of two great legal luminaries, as Professor Nishtha Jaswal in her address said, the acharyas of the decades, past decades. Professor Vijay Kumar, you have just heard him. So my dilemma is what to speak about and how to speak about, but be that as it may, I have to discharge my duty and cross the Lakshman Rekha of that ethical dilemma. Once I have been asked to come here, I have to speak about. Firstly, I must congratulate all the participants who are here to attend this program, that you got an opportunity to learn something which is very important and critical in your life, because you have chosen this path of academic career. Whether you join teaching or not, it's not necessary the one who does the research that he has to be a teacher. You know Palkhiwala, he was a renowned lawyer. You know Sirvai, a renowned lawyer. You know Fali Nariman now, Abhishek Manu. You take any number of good names of lawyers, but they have done good research. They have written very good books or pieces of articles, whatever you may say. Chanchal, while addressing, he raised two questions. That the focus in this program would be twofold: how to teach a research methodology and what are the core contents of research methodology. These are two fundamental questions. If they are addressed thoroughly, probably you will understand what is the research methodology. I'll just give you a panoramic picture, and when I was sitting there, I just decided I'll try to follow the path of what Professor Vijay Kumar has followed by giving you some practical or personal experiences of research methodology. None of us were born with the wisdom that we knew what is the research methodology. Some of us, we got opportunity, or we were lucky that we got excellent teacher. I am one of them. I have all throughout my life got excellent teacher and excellent friends. That has been the positive part of my life. Of course, excellent wife too. Second, what you experience during your lifetime by studying or by learning through the teacher, how much you absorb that and apply that when you do the research, that is very important. I'll complete the anecdote which Professor Vijay started with my research work. It takes me back to my memory lanes 40 years back. I had just completed my LLM, and immediately I got a first ad hoc appointment, and then within a couple of months I got a regular appointment. Those days, my name was not there in any of the books. When I had submitted my LLM dissertation, one of my friends, he came and he stayed with me in my hostel room. So I was out of curiosity, I said, I have submitted my LLM dissertation, here is it. And I went to the department. The evening I came, he said, can you lend me your dissertation? Those days the photostat copying was not so easily available. It used to take 5 minutes with the silver nitrate screen to photocopy one page. And in whole of Chandigarh, there was only one machine at that time. And you had to book in advance. So I said, no, I have a spare copy, I'll give you. So we didn't have a computerization that time. We used to get the typed copy. So I had a 6th carbon copy, which I gave him. When I was on a regular appointment, a book came through the publisher to me to write a review. And that is how, when I read the first chapter, I was very happy or something. And then I thought, no, something I also wrote a couple of months back or so. And that was nothing but the person who had borrowed a copy was changing the little title here and there, submitted his thesis for PhD, got his PhD, and published the book. And that book came for review to me, for writing a review of the book. When I further, with the seriousness, studied that, from page 1, including the acknowledgement, only one line was there, where my name also appeared. I'm thankful to Mr. Paramjit Singh Jaswal, I was not doctor that time, for providing me the necessary material. But from first page to the last page, including the conclusion, it was verbatim the same. So much so, my mistakes were honestly carried on as such. The mistakes, typographical mistake, which were in my dissertation of LLM, he happened to be my friend. I returned the book without writing a review, but I honestly informed that this is a plagiarized work and I cannot write it. I was in a dilemma about whether to report or whether to make a complaint or not. On one hand, there is a friendship. On the other hand, there is a plagiarism. Be that as it may, I went to London for my further studies, and there I got a call from the vice chancellor of his university that one of the teacher has done a plagiarism, and he is alleging that you have copied from his thesis. So the allegation came on me, but the very good defense with me was that I had submitted my dissertation in 82. He got enrolled in 83, and he submitted in 85. So.
Acknowledgement.
He had acknowledged.
That I provided. Anyhow, so I was asked to appear before the committee. I said, well, you can provide me the ticket from London to that university I don't want to name here. Then I will come. So it was not possible. Anyhow, the inquiry report, one of them was the Professor Rupinder Bakshi. I remember 3-member committee, they wrote a very harsh report against the person and in favor of me. To cut short the story, the net result was he was a good person with a good brain, intelligent, but because of this act, the whole academic career, he kept on fighting a case in the court. He did become professor by hook and crook, by joining political or taking a political support, but he could not go out of the university to participate in a single seminar. That is the kind of the dilemma you have if you do the plagiarized work. Now, coming to the how to do the research or what should be the core contents, there is one dilemma there. Though the law is a social science, but research methodology which is followed in the research social sciences is not followed in law. And now we have some books and some guidelines. Earlier there were no guidelines. Earlier the blue book was there, but unfortunately the later edition of the blue book also, they are so distorted. There is no uniformity even in following the blue book and accepted methodology. Now recently the director of Indian Law Institute, Professor Manoj Sinha, he has brought out a small booklet which can provide you the guidelines. I advise you that if you have not seen, it's a very cheap, I think 40 rupees or 50 rupees. And he's very happy to give a free of cost also if you happen to meet him. That booklet that gives you some guideline, but it is just a very, very basic and preliminary. Professor Vijay, in the end of his address, he pointed out 5 pearls for the research. And one of them has been your self-satisfaction. The self-satisfaction comes to you when you have inquisitiveness to know. If you just copy, cut and paste, you have not applied your mind. The knowledge you have not gained. Neither you can be called researcher, nor what you are doing, that is the research, though you may get a PhD, it is a different part. I remember once Professor Nishtha got a PhD thesis for evaluation, and after some time she said, this is my first thesis for which I cannot write a positive report, what should I do? I said, don't worry, he has written 450 pages plus. Give a however degree. You know what is however degree? You write all positive and negative point, and negatives are more. Then in the end you write, however, keeping in view the hard work done by the candidate and this and that, the degree may be awarded. That is called however degree. She said, I can't give him a however degree. And the dilemma she was facing, she placed a 1 page in front of me that related to hypothesis. Now what the candidate had done in hypothesis, because he didn't apply his mind, the hypothesis means.
No, hypothecation.
That's what I'm saying. Instead of hypothesis means, and he wrote, but it's hypothecation. The law of property concept, hypothecation. So he wrote, and that was absolutely correct from the dictionary, from Oxford dictionary he had taken. So he did not know what is the difference between hypothesis and hypothecation. Now, what is the wrong in that? He may not have studied in a public school. His English may not be good, but he should know what hypothesis means and why do we write hypothesis. So, one of the blunders which most of us we commit, that is, we when get ourselves enrolled, we start writing or we think of writing. Oh, 6 महीने हो गया मैंने एक भी चैप्टर नहीं लिखा, 3 साल में मैंने 6 चैप्टर लिखने हैं, 7 लिखने हैं. Straight away writing without knowing about the problem, about the hypothesis, about your scope of study and other things, you cannot lead to a particular conclusion. There is again a method, there are steps. You can't jump to the last step or the middle steps without climbing the first step. So therefore, the first part, when you start writing your synopsis, you have to write your introduction about what you are going to do. And the introduction is also, that is to be written, though addressing the other question of the which synopsis must have, but that after the introduction, you have to explain your statement of problem. When you select a statement of a problem, my experience is you should take that topic or that problem on which you are going to research, which has some relevance to the society and the recent happening which are there. Sometimes you may take an old topic, nothing wrong in that. Sometimes you may take a unique topic which nobody has heard about it, nothing wrong in that. But sometimes it becomes difficult because when you go with a thesis, I remember one of my colleagues, he had done in a Muslim law on a topic, I even do not remember that, a very, very unique problem of Muslims, which is in the Muslim countries, not even in India. So whenever he used to go for an interview, oh, what is your thesis? What was your title? He will tell, no question will be asked to him on the thesis because the experts will not be knowing that. You know, ultimately your research should help you when you go for the interview. So you select your problem or identify your problem on which many things depend. What is the relevance of that? Whether it is having a contemporary relevance or not, whether the material is available on that, whether if it is going to be your empirical research, how difficult it would be, what shall be the universe of your empirical collection data. There are so many questions there involved in that. Once you have done, then you have to formulate what are the research objectives. Why did you study that problem or select that problem? What are going to be the objectives with which you are going to study? And then the review of literature. Review of literature is not 1 day job or 2 days job. Professor Vijay Kumar said when he was referring to Professor Rupinder Bakshi's anecdote that he came to school and he said, "Where is Devidas?" The moment he took the Devidas name and I was sitting with Professor Jaswal, I said he has written the best article on director principles in ILI journal. Before Vijay could say here from this day, what does it mean? The best part of the material, which in our times was in the written form, today you have in the Google form or other server form, that must be studied properly. That must be understood properly. And then only you can do the review of a literature. I say, you name me one book of Palkiwala who was, or Krishna Iyer. I still remember there is one book of Krishna Iyer of Law and Life. I don't know whether you have read it. Of Law and Life. It was on different topics. Each chapter is on different topic. And the chapter dealing with the women, the opening sentence was, women is not Mrs. Man. She has her own individual space and dignity. The first sentence, how immediately it is striking, I still remember that. So if you study those books, those articles, maybe from newspaper, maybe from textbook, maybe through Google, maybe through other methods, it is only then studying and then keep on making your own short notes on the computer or otherwise, and that you can have that. And then you have the review of literature. In the review of literature, you don't have to mention only those books or that literature which supports your problem. There may be opposite views. They are more important. When you do not find any reasoning to contest a case in the court of law, because you do not have any judgment of the Supreme Court in your favor, you know what do the lawyers do? They read the dissenting opinion if there is any, or they read what were the arguments of the losing party lawyer. Maybe whatever may be the arguments which were not accepted that time due to change of the circumstances, those arguments may become the positive points today. That is how, in after many years, when the Supreme Court also review its own decision, the views may change. Our present Chief Justice Chandrachud, he overruled one of the judgment written by his father. So it's because of the change of circumstances. So you have to properly do the review of literature and then cull out what are the hypotheses. Hypothesis is nothing but a statement of facts which may or may not be true. It is the wrong notion that we have to prove our hypothesis. In the conclusion chapter, you may say that hypothesis is proved or not proved, depending upon what arguments you have given. And then after you have identified your problem, you have reviewed the literature, you have formulated the hypothesis, you can formulate the research question. And then there are the small parts which are also part of the synopsis, which you have the scope of your and the limitation of your study, which research methodology you are going to follow, whether the doctrinal or empirical or combination of both, and what is going to be the expected outcome of your study and the significance of your study. And then last, you have the scheme of your chapterization, bibliography, and the appendix. And as Professor Vijay in the last pearls of wisdom, he said with regard to research methodology, if you can pose some question, if you are not able to find solution to in pursuance of your hypothesis or the review of literature you have studied, you can pose those questions. That is your further contribution of your research. Plagiarism is very important. Many a time we blindly study and blindly follow. I take you one of the example, and you see yourself how. Just one example. UGC has made it a mandatory that before submission you must publish, I think, 2 articles before research in UGC care list. Pardon me saying, we interview daily, day in and out, sometimes to a candidate we, what do you mean by care list? And 90% of the candidates do not know what is the meaning of care. We say care list. There is a list published by the UGC which is called care list. Those journals. What is the care? C-A-R-E. How many of you know it? No, not to see your mobile just. Consortium of academic research ethics. That is care. There is a body of the UGC which identified certain journal that is called in that there is a consortium of academic research ethics. And it was, Vijay didn't have that time, he can explain tomorrow if he has that time. That is how the research and ethics 2 credit module was added in 2019, I think December, which was there. Sometime, if we get a good guide who guides you, don't misguide him. He guides you, but we tend to misguide him. I did myself that. My guide was excellent teacher in LLM. He asked me, history ka chapter likhna hai, to you study the Patabhi Sitaramaiya. My topic was on constitutional law. So before I could leave the room, he said, I know you will come tomorrow, you will say, you have not found Patabhi Sitaramaiya book in the library because it is not in the law library. So you go to the central library, there you will find. I went to the central library, I found it, Patabhi Sitaramaiya, 5 volumes. and I had to write 2 pages of history. So I said, who will study 5 volumes for 2 pages? What I did, I took those 5 volumes from law section, placed them in the zoology section myself. And next day told my guide, sir, it is not available in the central library. I knew this answer very well. He didn't know how to drive a scooter. He had a scooter. He said, take the scooter, drive the scooter. I will sit with you and we'll go to Gandhian Studies Library. It is there. And I have kept already this card in front of me. I will get you issue these books. And unless you study these books, I will not ask you to move forward. He got those 5 volumes issued to me. I had to study 5 volumes, and then I wrote 2 to 5 pages out of 5 volumes. But then that study, that which came as a part of in a way review of a literature, opened the windows of my mind about the historical development of the topic. We don't realize, we curse our guides. And the second and the last instance I will quote from my own, this thing is, when I was in London, that time I had a PhD degree. It had gone to my head. I'm one of the youngest doctorate holding a PhD degree. I was doing my postdoctorate. I had a lot of discussion with my guide with whom I was to do my postdoctorate. He asked me to write about 10 pages on the topic, which we decided to work upon. He said, how many months you take? I said, 10 pages? I will write to you, give you tomorrow. He said, no, you cannot do. After a lot of argument, he told me, okay, you take 1 month. I said, no, I'll give you in 10 days. But I could not resist with the handwriting because I didn't know computer. There I didn't have computer. Computer were available there, but I had never touched. I didn't have a typewriter, so I wrote in hand. Next day, I put in his pigeonhole. Next, in the evening, I was just roaming about in front of the pigeonhole. I found there is some paper and, oh, it is my paper. I had written with the blue ink and it was totally red. So I said, my guide is a bloody fool. I thought in that sense. But nobody is seeing me. I put in bag and came home to my room. I found each word was criticized by him, each word. And the criticism was absolutely correct. Still, that ego did not die in my head. Again, I sat for the whole night, wrote it again. I said, then what? Again, put it in a pigeonhole. The second day, he again checked it. It was all green. Again, mistakes. Green, not okay. But it was all mistakes. Then I said, now you tell me how to write it. He said, now you have come to the line. Then he gave me 1 page. Now, this is worth listening how we commit blunders. Please listen this experience, which I learned. He said, in this page, you have quoted this within quotes, this 2.5 lines. You find what is the mistake. Then we will proceed further. Till the time you find your own mistake in 2.5 lines, we will not proceed further. I read 5-10 times. I said, there is not even a single mistake. I said, no, there is a mistake. He said, all right, I'll help you. I'll give you original material. He gave me the original AIR, which he had, from where I had quoted. I read word by word, like Professor, Ranveer, Singh, like that. I read each word and said, there is no mistake. He said, now take the AIR to home, and when you find the mistake, then come. I went there after 1 week, I could not find my own mistake. You know what was the mistake? Very simple. I had quoted the case of a Ryland versus Fletcher. The spelling of Fletcher, I had written F-L-A. It should be E. I have no right to change the nomenclature. Now, our name, 3 of us, Jaswal Q, we write all J-A-S. But the most popular is J-A-I-S. So they make it Jaswal. But our parents have not given any right to anybody to convert Jaswal to Jaswal. Right? So this is how sometimes when we even copy, when we write, and most of the times we have the time of the whole world at our level when we are doing the research. But at one point of time, you will not have a single minute, and that will be when you go to the typist or go to the binder. बाइंडर को बोलेंगे मुझे 2 घंटे में बाइंड करके चाहिए, मुझे तो अभी सबमिट करनी है 2 घंटे. टाइपिस्ट अगर करवाना है तो टाइपिस्ट को बोलेंगे मुझे तो रातों रात टाइप करके दो. And then we don't have the time to read about that. Even if we have not committed a blunder, they will commit the blunder. So we have to take into consideration such things. There are many other parts which I could speak, but I don't think my time had actually expired half an hour back, but I still taken much time. Thank you very much to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of this university, as well as to the organizer for organizing such a good program, which would be very much beneficial to all those who have come from different places. In the introduction, it was very good to know people from across the country, from different states have come here. Whether you are teaching, whether you are in the research, if you take the research seriously, your own personality is going to be improved. Your own self-esteem is going to change. But if you try to deceive, remember the first pearl which Professor Vijay Kumar gave out of the 5 pearls. Research is not for obtaining a degree or cash promotion. There are much more important values on which the research is based. It started 8.5 centuries back, the recherche from the French word, but it is still followed. And if that is followed, then we can hold our head high. We can not only speak about that I have done with honesty, integrity. The three important points, which in the end I would like to quote: do your hard work, be honest to yourself, and be humble. You don't have to be grumbling with other that you are. If you find some mistake with other, ignore it. Don't follow, but be humble in writing and honest with full hard work, and you will come out with the best piece of research on which not only you, your parents will be proud, but the teachers who guided you, they will also feel a sense of pride that my research scholar has done such a good piece of work. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. I think the argument that started with Professor Vijay Kumar about self-development has come to a full circle. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the insightful discussion. Before we have the privilege of listening to the inaugural address, I have a question to the audience. Do you recall when all the dignitaries entered in this hall? Professor Ranbir did something which was absolutely different from all other dignitaries. Can anybody recall what it was? No. I'm saying when he entered, not after all the dignitaries were seated. So what did Professor Ranbir do different from other dignitaries? The moment he entered.
He said good morning. He asked how are you?
Exactly. He asked, "How are you?" Okay, so another lesson for the researchers: you have to be good observers as well. And on that very small question is a major point there. That question is not a general question to the audience here. That was rather an individualistic question to each one of you. How are you? Okay. Now, there is another attribute which researchers must also have, and that is the idea of individual respect. Throughout his work and his career, he has always given weightage to individual respect. Still remember in the last CBP when we had invited him and we had the opportunity of listening to him, he not only appreciated our efforts, but at the same time, at an individual level, he said that this culture, had he had such team, he would have again individually respected that research thesis and he would have promoted it. Those were his words. I'm not quoting him per se, I cannot. So on that note of the lesson that I have learned from Professor Ranbir, the respect for individuals that a researcher must have. Sir, most humbly, I request you for the inaugural address, and the topic that Sir has chosen is how to nurture a culture of research in law schools. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chancellors, the faculty and the participants. If I define my journey from Bangalore to NLU Delhi, when I went to Bangalore in 1996, 7, it was a kind of adventure for me. Because that was the only law school at that time. And adventure was, I wanted to understand what that experiment is. From a traditional faculty of law in Haryana, going to Bangalore was a chance of luck. And there I met friends like Oli Pebbles and Vijay Kumar, who made my life very comfortable there. So it was an adventure. I came back after some time to my parent university. And then again was invited to found the second law school, which is Narsar Institute of Law, Hyderabad, where I came in the year 1998 and stayed till 2008. There, the challenge for me was, it was a big risk. Being only for 1 year at law school Bangalore and understanding the importance of research, that how important research for the faculty and especially for the students. There at the time, the focus was too much on the developing the competencies of the students through research projects. That came into my mind. That was engraved into my mind. When I came to Bangalore, Hyderabad, that continued, and I pursued it with much vigor. But the rest was that I never knew how to create a law school. But with the grace of God, that would be a very big story and it will take a lot of time. But I continued there for 10 years and fortunately it came out to be a good law school. And then I luckily again, suddenly one day Justice Bhandari came to Hyderabad and said, why don't you come to Delhi, we are starting a law school. I said, you have so many professors in Delhi, DHU, Delhi, Area, and why should you select me for starting a national school in Delhi? They said, no, we somehow that you come and start the national law school. That was the 13th law school that time. And in a dinner meeting with all those people who were responsible in Delhi, including the Chief Minister and the Chief Justice, they outrightly asked me, what is your vision of it? Law school in New Delhi. I think they found me more tough question than anybody else than for me. But I was very sure. That if I am selected at Delhi and if I come to Delhi, what I have to do. By the time being at Narsar for 10 years, I had been to many good law schools, including Harvard, Oxford, NYU. I was invited as a research scholar from India to visit the law schools. So I visited all the Ivy League law schools and very narrowly saw and very keenly observed that how these law schools are functioning. And I found the importance of research. So when this opportunity came at Delhi, I immediately said that I have seen abroad that there is a lot of focus on research, and unfortunately in India, we do not put much focus on research. And I will try my best to develop and nurture research at Delhi. So that was my basic. I said everybody teach. Hum sabhi padhate. Everybody will teach. Selected, you will teach. But research is something which we are ignoring in the law schools. And the one thing was already there in my mind that the biggest transformation in legal education, if I ask you, what is the biggest transformation in legal education in 1980s and the present day? What is the biggest transformation? 3 or 5 years तो कोई symbolic है. We have to redo some program 3 or 5. even legal database, of course. We were never taught, none of us, कैसे research करते हैं, कैसे research होती है, footnoting कैसे होती है. I remember when I did my 11th dissertation, and I was very worried because nobody taught us. I think all of us are the same. But fortunately, my typewriter was so efficient. And he was the best known person in the university. He said, don't worry, Ranveer Singh worry nahi karo, footnoting wala kaam main karu. Aap likh ke liye. That's how we learn. And then today, the kind of opportunity you have is amazing. In terms of database, in terms of software, in terms of the workshops, conferences, seminars, what not, right? So the biggest transformation, the question I put to you, have been in 1980s and up to 1990s also. The legal profession, students used to come by chance. Those who did not get admission anywhere else used to come to law, people like us. Some of us were by choice also, right? But the best thing was, as Jaswal mentioned, we used to have teachers by choice. The people, those who will come to teach us, they will join the teaching profession because they wanted to be teachers. They wanted to teach. They wanted to research, and if they were interested in research, they were good researchers. Do you know that when Professor Bakshi came to us to Delhi Law Faculty, anybody from the Delhi Law Faculty? Do you know anything about Bakshi, what happened initially? He was struggling to become an assistant professor. He struggled to become an assistant professor. The party was dean, he never liked it. Somehow, I should not say that. But sometimes we share things. One article, little done, fast undone, came to the notice of Civil Ward, who was Attorney General of India at that time. He read the article, he said, my God, who is this person who has this article? And Professor Bakshi was straightway taken as a professor in Delhi Law Faculty. See the value of research. See the value of good research, right? One article can take you there. So he became a professor, and the kind of researcher or thinker today I always say that if anybody asks me who was the best judge, I'll say Krishna in terms of that, and in terms of academics, nothing like Professor Bakshi. I don't find any parallel about him, even at the world level.
Sir, he was appointed in absentia.
That I don't know.
Yes, sir, I heard it.
I never had the luck to be a student of Delhi University. I studied in very traditional institutions, right? So now the transformation was that now in the present times, do you know today was the high date of Delhi, and the CLAT has already taken place. And do you know how many students appear? 18,000? 75,000 in CLAT and almost 30,000 in high date. Right? For 3,000 seats? 2,600 seats. What does that mean? Today's students come to law by choice, not by chance. And that is the biggest challenge for us. When we go to the class, we shiver. When in a law school, when a teacher, I say ordinary teacher, would be sent to the law school class, it is a very, very difficult class, because students are so brilliant that I cannot tell you how brilliant they are. They are exceptionally brilliant, and they are exceptionally brilliant of their own. And then because of the culture which we have developed at the desk. People normally ask me when I go for the orientation in different law schools, why all the placements are taken by the next law school students, and hardly anything is left by the firms for us, and either the firms are not very important firms. And the answer is very, very simple. The answer is, it is all because of the culture of research we nurture at the national school. But before I proceed further, let me share with you the importance of this day. Today is what day? Human Rights Day. Wish you a very happy Human Rights Day. Right? And we have a lot of programs. Even I had a program at Raipur, but I preferred to came to Shimla because it is very difficult to say no to Professor Nishtha whenever she invites me. And I recorded my lecture and sent it to. And now he has done brilliantly for the same lecture for which I had done the inaugural speech. So that is the transformation now. Now it's a big challenge for a teacher as well when the students are so brilliant. Now how do we? Now I will share my own experience with you. It is not that lecture which would be not that it would be practical, all practical, which I have undergone in the law schools. You all know that in 5-year program we have 10 semesters, we have 5 courses, and when they pass out 10 into 5, the students are expected to do 50 research papers, right? They write 50 research papers carrying out somewhere 25 marks, somewhere 30 marks, somewhere 40 marks, which they write under the guidance of a teacher. Now, earlier plagiarism was not checked. Now every research project is checked. And then they are made-to-made presentations in the classroom in the front of 60 students in the classroom, followed by a question and answer session, and there are marks for everything. So when they pass out of the law school after 5 years, they have done 50 research projects. And above that, when they come to 3rd year, they do seminar papers. In their special papers they choose for their specialization. When they come to 5th year, they do 4 seminar papers, which is again the papers they specialize. And these are the papers which are taught by expert faculty, either from inside the faculty or from outside. They can be judges, they can be lawyers, they can be from the corporate law firms, or they can be from the multinationals. Best of people in the field will come, or commissions. For example, if somebody is doing a seminar or a paper on competition law, then somebody will from the competition commission will come and teach, or a firm which is a competition law firm, right? So this is how. When you come to LLM, then you do dissertation. Dissertation is a much bigger. So when I came to Delhi and I answered that I will have a culture of research, they asked me, how would you do that? I said, the kind of faculty I would recruit, I will try that they have best of research culture. Many of my students by the time they were in Oxford, they were in Cambridge or Harvard or Yale or in different places. And I was very sure that if many of them will apply at Delhi, and I will try to recruit them. So when the selections were made, I tried my best to take those people, including Aparna or Minal or Anup Chandra, right? Anup Sundarnath or Yogesh Pai from. I collected all those people, those who were good in different fields. And then after the selections were made, I called them and told them that my expectation from you is, you may or may not teach, but please establish centers of research in your own domain areas, on IPR, on communication governance, on initially death penalty, then 39A, or on criminology, on IPR, good governance. Arun Sakaria would look into good governance. Yogesh Pai would look into the IPR, other issues. So in this fashion, 24 centers were established. And I said, initially, I will give you the money. Because the money will not come from anywhere else. Initially, seed money will be given by the university. And then when you start getting projects, then you can be of your own and you can be self-sufficient. And the very first project we got, Anup Sundarnath, I think I will give you only that example. So he came to me one day. We had a lecture by American professor on Innocence Project. He was running in USA. And he came to me and said, "Sir, can we have a project like this where we find somewhere we set the principle that let 100 people go scot-free, but not even a single person who is innocent should be punished." Right? And that was the basic aim of that project. Let us look into death penalty cases in India. Nobody has done a study so far. There were 400, more than 400 people. So the challenge was how to reach to these 400 people. Nobody will give you access to the jails. So we approached the Chief Justice of India, and we approached the judge who was in charge of the NLSA, National Legal Service Authority. We signed a MOU with them that would be a collaborative research on behalf of HPNLU Delhi and NLSA. And NLSA is the judge who heads NLSA is a senior judge. And we got access to all the jails in India except Bombay or 1-2 more states. And the students were involved, the faculty was involved, and to cut this story short, we interviewed 400 people in jails, going to jails. A kind of empirical study was done to find out the plight of the death row victims in the jails. A study was published, which was released by Justice Lokur in ICC, the Indian International Center. And we said, we are not looking into death penalty per se, but we, when we looked into this in a holistic way, we found that the whole criminal justice system is crumbling. It has failed miserably, and we brought out that how the criminal justice system has failed. And then with that beginning, we started doing the 39A project. And let me again share with you that all the 3 Rhodes Scholars at NLU Delhi were interns at the Death Penalty Clinic Center and now in 39A Center. And you all know the value of the Rhodes scholarships in India. This year again, there is a boy who got the Rhodes Fellowship, and he again is from the 39A project. And not only from India, there are people from other countries now coming to this center for education, right? And when the report was published, there was 2-page write-up in Times of India, in Hindu, and half a page in New York Times. And today the situation is that when we go to the Supreme Court to argue, when Justice Lalith was Chief Justice, and one girl intern was arguing, or rather assisting the senior judge, the Chief Justice said, "Next time you come and argue, don't bring your senior." And Shreya Rastogi, she went to the court and the relief was granted by the Honorable Judge. And then after some time, the project was mentioned in the United Nations. The Law Commission took great help of the project. So what I want to tell you is that these 24, 25 centers which are established at NLU Delhi now not only provide research competency to the faculty, but also provide research competency to the students. And that too empirical research, not doctrinal research. That too empirical research, kind of empirical research they do. And when they do that empirical research, they brought that empirical research in their work also, right? Not only the work which they are doing at the centers, and the impact of that was that today if there is any project, what are you distributing? Why you distribute? Do it later on, please. Please sit down. Please sit down. No, they are diverted. No. No, I myself I have asked you. No, this is not the way. Where I was, हम भूल जाते हैं बातें. नहीं. So the moral of the story was the impact of the projects which we started doing at NLU Delhi. Now there is hardly any project in the ministries of India which doesn't come to NLU Delhi. And we don't say no to anybody. So the moral of the story is, do not say no to any opportunity which comes to you. And when I say this to you, I give my one example. I used to come to NHRC for being a member of the editorial board. And in one of the editorial board, there was a joint secretary of the Ministry of External Affairs. I have time or?
Absolutely, sir.
So, Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Puri, he said, Dr. Singh, can we have a lunch at Jumkhana? I said, he is the IRS officer and he is expecting me to have lunch with him. The lunch can't be free. So I said, yes, let's have. So when we were there for a lunch, he said, for the first time, we have to prepare a report for India on human rights. It will go to the Human Rights Council. It was the year 2008 that instead of the commission, it was the council, right? And he said, we have no idea how to prepare the report. You are academics, you have time, probably your faculty or your students can help you. I will send you the details how the report is to be prepared. I said, you send me the details, I will see whether I can do it or not. It was the year 2008, and I was at Nalsar, Hyderabad. Believe me, I can tell you and I can share with you honestly, I had no faculty in mind. I had no faculty in mind, but I had students in mind, those who were interested. So the moment I reached Nalsar, I called one friend of mine. I remember his name, Ketan Mukhisha. He is probably in a very senior position now, vice president in his firm. And I said, Ketan, I have this problem, can you help me? He said, give me 1 day's time, I'll tell you tomorrow. Next morning he came to me, he said, sir, ye ho jayega, koi difficulty. And I can't tell you how happy I was. We prepared that report, I shipped it to Delhi, report came, that research came to me, and Delhi they were searching for me, that where everything is gone now. So ultimately they found I'm in Delhi. So 2012 report was done by me. 17 report was now again done by NLU Delhi. All the reports for the Government of India, for the Ministry of External Affairs, in human rights, which were submitted to the Human Rights Council, were done by NLU Delhi. And the same story applies to the criminal law reforms bill. The letter was sent to all the law schools. Nobody replied, or they replied, the proposal was not accepted. I also applied, and the Ministry of Home Affairs selected NLU Delhi for their project, and they gave the entire project to me and said, you are overall in charge, you have your own members, and we will give you this much of money, and we will give you this much of time. Good or bad, I don't know what the government is going to do, but I was the chair of the committee, and the other members, and the bills are already there. So this is how. What does that mean? The moral of the story is, don't wait that somebody will allow you to publish your article in so and so journal. You have 24 centers. Create your 24 journals. No. Publish your own articles in your own journals or in the journals of the law schools. Right? And that will happen when you start. So, another moral of the story is, start challenging yourself. We never knew how to do footnoting. We challenged ourselves. We did all that report in human rights. We did all that report in child rights. We did all that report in criminal reforms. We knew nothing. Right? You accept that challenge. So start accepting challenges in life. Either you are a faculty or you are a student. And once you have acquired that expertise, pass on that expertise to the students through your own centers. Students get center this way. कोई आपके पास system नहीं है. You create curriculum and you create systems. And your systems are centers. I think you must be realizing, Chanchal, that it is through centers that you can have your own journals and your own articles. And let the article be reviewed by students, by your peer faculty. Let them reject it. Let there be 10 revisions, but come out with best of articles. In research, you will be known only by best of articles like Little Done, vastly done by Professor Bachi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the comprehensive outlook that you have put forth before our university on how to nurture a culture of research. Thank you, sir. Proceeding forward, another legal luminary and another point or attribute that a researcher should have. So, it is said that researchers should be objective in their research. Objective in the sense that you should not have a lopsided view of whatever research you are proposing or going to undertake. You should have a kind of approach where, as sir suggested, that the literature review should not only have those evidences that support your argument or line of argument, but also talk about the counter side. Now, on 22nd of November 2023, I was traveling from Chandigarh to Shimla in a car, very cozy, with Professor Venkatarao. And the first thing that he mentioned was, apart from the diverse field of knowledge that he has and that we discussed, first anecdote he mentioned was, Ayush, you are a young academician. Don't ever stop learning from your students. Don't go in a class to teach them, go in a class to learn as well. So it was an idea where you don't come from the view that you know everything and now you have something to deliver. Rather, you enter a class objectively. That in the passage of your discussion, there will something come up from the one who is listening to you at a very younger stage of life and knowledge as well. And you should be ready to accept it objectively without having your prejudices, driving your mental wheel. And I learned the idea of objectivity in research from Professor Rao here. Sir, I request most humbly, and his is the presidential address on the idea of ethics and research in social sciences. So,
ladies and gentlemen, it's a real honor for me to share the dais and to be on the dais with, most of you may not be knowing, four of the pillars who have been responsible for nurturing and nourishing national law schools and CLAT and the consortium of CLAT. Professor Ranbir Singh with more than 2 decades of experience as Vice Chancellor. Professor Vijay Kumar, I would say more than 3 decades. Every brick of National Law School Bangalore is a manifestation of sacrifice of generation of teachers led by Professor Vijay Kumar. Okay. And today, somebody needs some input, some information on legal education and research. The first name to be referred to is Professor Vijay Kumar. Professor Jaswal gave us the best infrastructure in Patiala National Law School. And he has been the Vice Chancellor for more than a decade. I would always say a university is a university once it is established under an act performing a public function. Therefore, there is nothing like a private university. The origin of the university might be private, but once it is established, it performs a public function, and the distinction gets blurred. And my hearty congratulations to Professor Jaswal for getting the extension in the second term just 4 days ago. And I had the privilege of being in the National Law School Bangalore for more than a decade, and now in Goa. And I I think this is a rare opportunity that has been given to you by Madam Nishita Jaswant. Okay. Therefore, this is a momentous evening. Professor Ramdev Singh was referring to Human Rights Day. Let me assure you, I will not violate your human rights for more than 15 minutes. Okay. Because when I got the Best Teacher Award from the government of Andhra Pradesh, a media person asked me a question. Sir, you have been teaching, at that time I had been teaching for more than 37 years. What has been your most difficult moment as a teacher, or a problematic moment as a teacher? I smiled and said, there was never a problematic moment for me because a teacher is supposed to be a part of the solution always, never a part of the problem. Okay. And never a difficult moment. But there have been formidable moments, I said. Then immediately the media fellow said, what is the formidable moment, sir? The formidable moment for me is to take a class on human rights at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon by violating the human rights of the participants. When their body metabolism orders them to do something else. But on a serious note, in one seminar that was organized by National Human Rights Commission on corruption, yesterday was the Anti-Corruption Day, if you don't mind. There was a suggestion that as far as academics are concerned, teachers are concerned, corruption needs to be defined in such a way that failure to update knowledge on the part of a teacher should tantamount to corruption. Failure to update the knowledge of the teacher, remember, should come within the definition of corruption. Because a teacher, when he doesn't update his knowledge, he is violating the human rights of the student. The human rights of the student to go back wise and not otherwise from the classroom is violated. And therefore, teaching is dissemination of knowledge. But research is creation of knowledge. Without creation of knowledge, how can there be dissemination of knowledge? Therefore, you are putting the best foot forward in the Odyssey, in the epic journey of creating knowledge. And our relationship is a symbiotic relationship. Madam was referring to absence of ahankar, if I have understood you correctly. The first quality a researcher should have is display of modesty and absence of arrogance is what you mean by accountability. Display of modesty and absence of arrogance is what you mean by accountability. And successful people build their inner world. Unsuccessful people complain about the outer world. A researcher, before taking the first step, must follow this principle that they should never blame the outer world. I committed that mistake, but I learned from that mistake. Because, as I always say, good judgment comes out of experience, but experience comes out of bad judgment. When I say I have 47 years of experience, I have 47 years of bad judgment, of committing mistakes, learning to commit mistakes. And therefore, never fall into that pitfall. Okay. Absolutely, remember. That is one point. The second one is Alvin Toffler has written a book, Power Shift, in 2007. And in that book, he asks a question, to whom will power shift in 21st century? If the sun did not set in the British Empire in the 19th century, of course, Toffler says the sun did not set in the British Empire because the sun was afraid it would be also colonized. Therefore, the sun was keeping itself away. If the sun did not set in the British Empire in 19th century, and if after the 7th December accidental entry of America into the Second World War because of the Pearl Harbor attack on 7th December, America became the world power. Our power shifted to United States in 20th century. To whom will power shift in 21st century? This is the question that he asks. And in that book he says, power will definitely shift from United States. Yes. He made a prediction in 2007, it's coming true now. Then Europe was emerging powerful. Will power shift to Europe? In 2007, Alvin Toffler, along with Madame Toffler, these were two excellent social science researchers. They gave us 5 books. One was Power Shift. They said, power will never shift to Europe because Britain is always suspicious of the motives of Germany. And therefore, Britain will never allow Europe to become strong. 2018, Britain made Sigrid. 11 years before that, he made a prediction. Because Britain doesn't believe Germans because of Second World War and other things. Okay. And therefore, power will not shift to Europe. Then will power shift to Gulf because petrodollars, 2007. Toffler says, in the evolution of mankind, 3 M's have dictated the world. First is the muscle power, law of the jungle. Whoever used to have muscle used to. The muscle power gave to money power. In jurisprudence classes, normally I tell the students about the golden rule, which I was sharing with him. The golden rule of law is that one who has the gold makes the law. The golden rule of law is that one who has gold makes the law. And therefore, money power determined mostly up to 20th century, petrodollars. But 21st century, money power is giving to mind power. And therefore, power will shift to those countries where we have knowledge societies. And Toffler says, ultimately, apart from the biological distinction of males and females, there will be only 2 types of other distinctions, knowledge haves and knowledge have-nots. All other distinctions will disappear. And those countries where you have the prevalence of abundance of knowledge societies, power will shift. He looks at Asia and finds India and China. But then he says, China is a geriatric society because of the skewed population policy that was observed during the height of the Cultural Revolution, when couples in their productive years either opted for no child or for 1 child. Today, for every young man in China, you have 5 elderly persons. Therefore, China is an aging society, whereas India has the so-called demographic dividend. Whether that dividend will become a nightmare, we have to wait and see. So, power is likely to shift to a knowledge society called India in 21st century. But that will happen when you have knowledge, when you have research. Why these 70 plus people are here to come here? To share this afternoon with you. Because all of us know what John Keats has said. We are not the first to be born, we are not the last to die. We have to hand over the baton to the posterity without allowing the baton to fall down. That is our accountability, isn't it? a meaning of sustainable development. And therefore, we want to hand over the baton to the 21st century hopes of India in legal education, hoping that you will maintain the highest standards of integrity. Well, this is December, Yuletide has begun. She has already given us Santa Claus. And okay, 25th December, one of the holiest days of the world. And when Jesus was asked a question, why do you pursue truth? Why do you pursue truth? Jesus said, because it makes you free. Truth makes you free. Nothing more than that. It liberates you. The search for truth, which is another meaning of research. How can you compromise? After all said and done, when Madam tries to certify whether the thesis being submitted under her guidance fulfills the 10%, 20%, or 30% anti-plagiarism requirement. Okay. She uses a tool. What a wonderful name that the tool is given. Turn it in. That's the name of the tool. Madam need not tell you that percentage is 17% or 18%. If you stand in front of a mirror, and Mahatma Gandhi said, integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching. When Madam is watching, if you maintain integrity, you are afraid of her. When nobody is watching, if you maintain integrity, and if you turn it in, and you answer the question that there has been only 5% plagiarism, yes, we will be proud of you. But if that is not the case, you die 1,000 deaths daily, psychologically speaking. Nobody will catch you. The most luxurious bed in the world is not a bed in the 5-star hotel, but bed of conscience. When your conscience is free, even if it is Bombay airport, I sleep. Yesterday I was sleeping, yes. Okay. When my conscience is free, then even if it is a public place, I sleep. But my conscience is not free and there's a tap on my door in a 5-star hotel, I'll be worried whether it is ACB or vigilance people who are coming. Correct? So even when your thesis is approved and you get your doctorate, that is going to haunt you throughout your life. Please remember that. The congenital defect that the so-called document which you have produced would haunt you. There were cases where vice chancellors were asked to unceremoniously quit because of the tools that they have adopted. Yes. And if you, that's the reason why Shakespeare said, cowards die 1,000 times a day. The valiant never taste death but once. Mark Antony's funeral. What's the point in submitting a document? Ask yourself a fundamental question. Whom are you cheating? Are you cheating your guy? Are you cheating your parents? Are you cheating yourself? Ultimately, the question that comes to you is, we are cheating ourselves. You agree with me? And when you cheat yourself, there are umpteen ways of making money instead of wasting your time here. Okay? By languishing here. Be truthful to you. Because you see, truth and justice are two uncompromising values. And your approach cannot be relativist but absolute. This is not a democracy where if 99% vote you get elected. even if 99% follow an unfair practice, it does not become a fair practice. That kite flies high, which flies against the wind and not with the wind. Have that courage of conviction. That would happen when research and ethics shake their hands. It is a sole superstition if you follow unethical practices. That's the reason why, in the pursuit of truth, you should never compromise. I have sent you this. Lamentably written by a doctor of the year. He must be 70 plus now. And he writes about the chatbot influence. Okay. Yesterday I was traveling via Chandigarh, and during 1980s we used to say there used to be a big street in Chandigarh where if you pay 10,000 rupees, thesis will be written. Yes. If you pay 5,000 rupees, a research project will be written. If LLM dissertation, some rate. What is the topic and how much time do you require? There is a big street. There was an editorial comment on the Indian Express newspaper about that. Okay. Is it research? Ask for yourself the question. And therefore, in the age of technology, remember what Atal Bihari Vajpayee said. All of us believe in technology. All of us believe in internet. But ultimately speaking, internet is more important than internet. You agree with me? Internet is more important than internet. You have to answer yourselves. And an honor is not an honor when you are asked to justify it. It is a dishonor. Even if you get a prefix called a doctorate, if you are required to justify it, it's not a doctorate at all. It's a dishonor. In fact, the popular joke goes about honorary doctorates. A grandfather was given the honorary doctorate, and his grandson did not understand. He asked grandfather, Papa, what is this, grandpapa? This honorary doctorate? Oh, nothing. It is like your grandmother calling me the master of the house. There's nothing more than that. So my point here is chatbot. Ready-made, you get the answer. You get the thesis, you get the antithesis, you get the synthesis, everything. Technology is at your doorstep. But is it what we are required to do? Only I will raise one more point before. I promised you it will not be beyond 5 o'clock. Just look at what our fundamental duties say in the Constitution of India. To strive towards excellence in our individual sphere of activity as well as in our collective endeavors, so that the nation constantly rises to highest levels. What is that excellence? Getting a university gold medal by plagiarizing, is it excellence? Getting an Olympic gold medal by doping, is it excellence? What the fundamental duty says, academic excellence without human excellence is a disaster. Your research is the first step in bringing out the excellence in you from within. And therefore, remember, follow the fundamental principles of ethics, always remembering that, just I explained to you, my professor had a terrific sense of humor. With the last sentence, I told it. He was speaking to us about, again, plagiarism, all sorts of things. 1970s also the same problem. And my university used to be in front of a garden, Andhra University, a beautiful forest. There used to be birds, there used to be birds in cages. And he said, look at those two birds. One is a cuckoo, the other is a parrot. Understand the distinction between these two. He said, cuckoo speaks its own language. It doesn't imitate anyone. Therefore, the cuckoo bird is always free. You agree? Parrot always imitates and speaks others' language. Therefore, parrot is always put in a cage. Decide for yourself whether you will be a parrot or a cuckoo. God bless you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Looking at the inner net instead of the internet, Jiddu Krishnamurthy has okay. If there are any questions before we proceed further on any of the topics that have been discussed at such length, yeah. So if there are any questions by the participants on the themes that have been discussed,
You don't get such time, sir. Because we also rarely collect on a platform like this.
You often find that biasness is a question which is not addressed in this study. Biasness, cognitive biasness of people. So often we find that we often justify our conclusion through method. We often reach to conclusion first thereafter.
You mean in research? You can call it egocentrism. It can't be helped. Egocentrism can't be helped. If you believe that what I say is correct, there are so many in the country. They say, "Jo humne keh diya wo khaani ho raha hai." Right? So that can't be correct.
I think the foundation of any research, value neutrality is the foundation. And that value neutrality will take you towards the right path. Right? Now you have suggested that they write their conclusions and then come back to hypotheses to say it is proved. I think equally weightage can be given to the thesis which disproves the hypothesis. Yes. But we are afraid of doing that.
I will add one sentence to both. If you feel that value neutrality is difficult, get rid of your prejudices. That's the first step. First, you must get rid of your prejudices. And that is the first step in the journey of ultimately going to value neutrality. On the first day, it should be very difficult to be objective. Isn't it? Getting rid of prejudices is the first lesson in research. The second point is research is to get that exhilarating feeling of joy. What Archimedes said, Eureka moment. He started running naked. Okay. But Eureka moment, you would find it only when you do genuine research. If you do fake research, can you get it? So try to get that Eureka moment in your research. And that has to be only experienced. It can never be explained.
Don't follow him. But the sadness of silence is dangerous. Now what is happening today is sadness of silence on the part of academics. This is very, very dangerous. That we know that things are going wrong and we keep silent. Still, unfortunately. Yeah. Very, very unfortunate. Anything else?
any other questions? Yes.
We appreciate from the students, the participants.
Hello everyone, very insightful session, and I'm not sure if what I'm going to ask is going to come out very coherent. I'll still try. So one part of research is the art of asking questions, and something I had been reading, like these are scattered thoughts, I'll try to bring them together. So something I recently read, a lot of great minds are lost in their pursuit of excellence, meaning a lot of times we do not take that particular step because we feel that we are not excellent enough. So when this opportunity was also given, and sir rightly mentioned that we do not get such opportunities a lot where we get to interact with people like you. So suddenly my mind also wondered, what possibly could I ask that make me sound like eligible enough to even ask a question? Because to ask a question, I should be ready enough. Am I making sense?
See, two things. No, I'll tell you. Your answers may reveal your knowledge, but your questions reflect your thinking capacity.
Critical thinking.
You understand that?
Yes.
That's the reason why Shashi Tharoor, when he was asked to distinguish between school education and university education, he said it's very simple. In school education, you are taught to answer the questions. In the university education, you are taught to question the answers. And a good research is that which, while giving one solution, raises 10 questions. Remember, yes. Your thesis must provide PhD material for 10 future researches. That is okay. You understand that?
Yes, sir. So today I'm going back with a lot of burning questions. I hope that someday I'll come back and ask those questions.
I said to you that start challenging yourself.
Yeah.
And start feeling that I'm growing every day. And if you feel you are not growing every day, something is wrong with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that insight once again. Jiddu Krishnamurthy has written a book called Freedom from the Known. And in that book, he mentions very categorically what Professor Rao also mentioned. If I were foolish enough to give you a system, and if you were foolish enough to follow it, you would merely be copying, imitating, confirming, accepting. And when you do that, you have set up in yourself the authority of another, and hence there is a conflict between you and that authority. I think that brings the entire inaugural session to a full circle. Now, coming to the very final limb of the attribute of a researcher, where we started from the beginning, is a sense of gratitude that must always be there. And for delivering the vote of thanks, I request worthy Registrar Sir Professor S.S. Jaswal. Yes.
One more thing. You have heard the name of Descartes? Descartes, the entire Western philosophy in 20th century revolves around him. As to how his philosophical proposition started, you know, on one morning he got up. He had a doubt whether he is still alive or dead. Whether he is still alive or dead. We may be laughing at it. But then, in Latin, he used one particular word, cogito ergo sum. He said, I think, therefore I am. That means,
I think I am.
You are alive only as long as you are thinking.
Yes.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
That means the moment you stop thinking, you are dead. That is Descartes' meaning. I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am alive. A research scholar should continuously think so that he will continue to be alive for the sake of society. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Let me tell you all, the cumulative reading which all of us do in a day, Professor Venkataraman does daily more than that. Yeah. In an aeroplane flight which he takes from Goa to Chandigarh, he will not leave any of the newspaper which is there on the aircraft, and he will finish that. And there will be more than one or two books which he will finish on the flight. And the best thing is he gives books.
Sir, I got the one from him. Sorry to interrupt, I got the one from him. Just, I will take a minute. In 2017, for the very first time, I got a chance to attend NLSIU 1 week refresher course. It was from 10th June until 16th June. Sir has delivered a lecture after experience of 7 years in teaching. Very first time I was there in any of
Sir has asked a question. Still, I get emotional. Those things are still in my mind.
Yes.
So, sir has asked one. It was kind of introduction. So I told him it was for very first time that I am there in any of the NLU. He said, it never matters from where you are. You are here. It matters where you are right now.
Right.
So still those things I can recall, sir. Thank you.
Right.
आपने आपने जो भी बोला है ना उसमें से काफी चीजें those are giving me the goosebumps.
And you will be like a lotus stone.
You can be anywhere. We are here from nowhere. So what is the big gain in that?
It was actually at that moment a big thing for me because after 7 years of teaching, then I got a chance for the very first time to sitting with so many luminaries, law luminaries, and for the very first time I was there in NLSIU.
Yes, sir. How many of you studied in a village school? Sit down. One, only one. Village school. Village school. I wrote my takti and slate by the side of a pond.
Me too, sir.
Till my hands can reach.
And
And I'm here. They retired me when I had completed my more than 22 years of vice chancellorship. I never wanted to retire. and that's why we are doing all these things for you. We still believe in the generation coming, like he said, passing on that baton. That till we can move, even with the injured knee, we should continue.
And you know, so one basic philosophy is, this is scholars you must follow it. You must enter a job or a vocation where you don't need vacation or holiday. Because every day is like a holiday.
You enjoy it.
You enjoy what you are doing.
Yes.
So, research with pleasure and not under pressure. Okay, that's it.
I used to say that if on a Saturday and Sunday you don't feel bored at home and don't and then you Delhi, that I would have been better there. There is something wrong with the English. So your working place should be sort of lively. Or if it is not, make it lively. You can do so. Don't wait for me or Venkat Rao or somebody else to do it. Why can't you do it? Collectively or singly, you know? Okay.
What a wonderful Sunday afternoon, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Collective of dignity sitting on the dais, and rare opportunity for all of us. Professor Ranveer Singh, Honorable Pro Chancellor, IISLM University Program, former Vice Chancellor, NLU Delhi and Hyderabad, members of Governing Council and Executive Council HPNLU Shimla, Professor R. Venkata Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, India International University of Legal Education and Research, Goa, former Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Bangalore, and Sir has been associated with NLU Shimla right from the beginning in 1960. Professor P. H. Jaswal, Honorable Vice Chancellor, SRM University, Sonipat, former Vice Chancellor, RGNLU Patiala, and Hidayatullah National University, Raipur. Professor V. Vijay Kumar, former Vice Chancellor, NLU Bhopal. Professor Nisha Jaswal, Honorable Vice Chancellor of our own university. Dr. Chandra Kumar Singh, Director of the Center for Comparative Public Law. Professor Grijay Shukla, Santosh Kumar, participant of Capacity Building Program, faculty members. Himachal Pradesh National Law University is organizing, I think this is the 4th capacity building program of this university. 3 offline, 1 was online. And we are honored and privileged to have Professor Ranveer Singh as a chief guest of this program. Sir is always there whenever he is required his blessing and assistance. Today also Sir is there. Thank you very much. We are highly obliged and thankful to Professor R. Venkata Rao, one of the eminent legal scholars and administrators, for sparing his valuable time for delivering this presidential address in this afternoon. Thank you, sir, on behalf of the NLU Shimla. We are also thankful to Professor P. H. Jaswal for sparing his valuable time we are taking too much on liberty from sir, and whenever he requires, he is always there to assist NLU Shimla. Thank you very much. We are also obliged to have Professor V. Vijay Kumar as a guest of honor for this program. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and blessing the program. Thank you very much. When we were planning this program, capacity building program, there was a lot of discussion between the Chanchal Kumar and myself, whether we will be able to have this program in this month of December. Our apprehension was that internal examinations are going in most of the national universities and other schools, and whether we will be able to make it or not. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor told us that this is a confidence, we will have it and we will make it. And today we are having more than 35 participants for this program. Thank you, ma'am, for this confidence with us.
I have gone through the entire program. It is so beautifully conceptualized. 4 generations of law teachers are associated with it. I've seen.
Yes.
And the topics that have been identified from the positivism, natural law, Frankfurt School in jurisprudence, something mind-boggling. We never had the privilege, okay? And hats off to the organizers for carefully planning and the confidential execution. It's a wonderful conceptualization. It's what you're absolutely right.
This is a rare opportunity. We are having such a legal ability on our dais. I request one to give them the standing ovation. They deserve it. Thank you, Dr. Chanchal, taking lead and organizing this program. I am sure that it is going to be one of the best programs in the memory of all the participants. Thank you, one and all, and our good wishes for all the participants. Enjoy the Shimla climate also. Thank you, one and all.
And heartiest thanks to our registrar sir as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I shall Thank you. Such a nice.
You stand here, you can have a photo.
So, as suggested by sir, all of you just be here for the final photography. Everybody is requested to stand up for the national anthem now.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Come in front of the dais.
We can sit down. Yes, sir. Picture भी आ सकता है.
Study material.
Sir, people can come at the back.
Teachers?
Yeah, please. Let's get come at the back.